Hello, beautiful people. You're listening to Limitless, the podcast on faith, life, and growth. And I am your host, Ifeanyi Morenike. Congratulations to us on Limitless. Let's give God a round of applause. Why am I saying this? Because we have finally reached 100 subscribers. Well, by this time, I think it's 102 subscribers. And I'm very grateful to God because one thing I've noticed on all the platforms I've ever been on, YouTube is one of not the easiest. And let me just say, it's not the easiest to grow on. TikTok is probably the easiest, then Instagram. YouTube is not easy, but God has brought us far. We started in November officially, and this is February with steady growth. And I'm very, very grateful to God. And I know that more growth is coming very soon. If you are new to this channel, my name is Ifeanyi Morenike. Ifeanyi is my first name. Morenike is my middle name, not my last name, because I know some people have got that mixed up. Let's get into the episode. I was not planning on bringing out an episode relating to dating whatsoever. In fact, I remember I did a picnic. There was a picnic that my class held and I was the guest speaker, so to speak, for the picnic. There was a statement my classmate made that really made me say, maybe I should step back from this whole talking about dating. He said, she's a relationship advisor. I was like, they're already using tagging me as relationship advisor. Please. Because once you start doing stuff like that, it's almost as if your relationship is put on a magnifying glass, is placed on a pedestal. Automatically, you can't make mistakes. You're not allowed to say, we're having issues in our relationship, but God forbid we'll have that anyway. But it just puts so much scrutiny towards your relationship. It also kind of makes you more of a target to Satan as well, because he's like, this girl wants to be used to help people in relationships and help godly relationships and encourage, spirit-filled relationships. I'm going to come for her relationship. And I don't want that. So I was like, maybe I should just refrain from talking about relationships. But one thing I'm not going to do is go against the will of God. So if God says I'm going to talk about relationships, guess what? I don't care. I'm going to talk about relationships. And God told me, instructed me, or led me this episode to discuss dating, courting, whatever you want to call it, in school, specifically university. I wouldn't know about secondary school, depending on your age or your level of maturity. One thing I don't want us to box God in, because you're this age or because you're this, you can't be. Nah, God works in mysterious ways. So many people, especially Americans, you hear this term high school sweetheart. You meet their partners in high school, they're both Christians, they're both spirit-filled, and they stay married for many, many years. And there are other high school sweethearts that don't work out. So it's more than just your age or because you're in school, but the will of God for your life. But there's some things that I want us to put into place, mentalities I want us to consider when it comes to dating in school, in university. And the reason I say that is because there's a Bible verse. You guys will know this Bible verse, Luke 14:28. And this is Jesus speaking. He says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay down the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. That's Luke 14:28-30. So before you decide if you want to open up your heart to relationships, there are a lot of things that you need to consider and put into place before you make that kind of decision. I say that because sometimes we jump in with this, follow your heart. First of all, never follow your heart. The heart is deceitful and wicked above all things. Who can know it? And he said, follow your heart. If you just like a guy or a guy likes you and they're Christian, then you should just go for it. Try it out. When you're young, it's for making mistakes. It's for trial and error. Please do not make the mistake of allowing your youthful exuberance to lead you in life. Allowing youthful desires, what everyone else is doing, what they think you should be doing as a young person to lead you in life. We are led by the Spirit of God, regardless of your age. You do not want to limit your spiritual stature to your age. Because I'm still 16, because I'm still 18, I think people that watch me are mostly, I think they said between 18 and 30 something, I think. So let's just assume because you're still young, I can make mistakes. There are some mistakes you make. You may get over it now, but the consequence of it can still affect you in the future. The time wasted can still affect you in the future. The trauma that it brings can still affect you in the future. So please, you need to count the cost. Are you willing to do these things I'm about to mention before you say, I'm going to open my heart up to relationships? If you're not, maybe you should just day your day. It's probably like a 4-year course, 5-year course. If you're doing medicine like me, 6 years plus, take that time to be like, God, I'm focusing on you. Unless you yourself bring someone to me and I'm ready to make the sacrifices that I need to make. First thing I want us to consider before you say whether you should open your heart up to a relationship in school or not is, do you have your priorities straight? Are you able to balance? Now, currently before a relationship, or let's say you're in a relationship, regardless, with the things you have on ground now, that is your education, relationship with God, maybe activities you have, maybe you're in clubs or organizations or in units in your church, are you able to balance the things you have on your plate currently? Because adding another human being to that, adding the responsibility of communicating with them and bringing them into your life, making them feel important, because one thing you don't want to do is bring someone into your life and make them feel like they're always second fiddle. Make them feel like they're always on a back burner. That my school will always come first. Of course, God will come first, number one. But school will always come first. My friends will come first. My activities will come first. And you're like maybe number 5 on the list. Nobody wants to feel like that. Nobody wants to feel unloved or unwanted in a relationship. If you're not able to make that person a priority for you, of course not number one as God, but a priority for you, then maybe you should consider just taking a break from relationships whilst you're in school. Focus on school. Make your priority school. At the end of the day, your parents are paying a lot of money, or maybe you're paying yourself. Some of you guys are funding your own education. You are sponsoring yourself, or somebody is pumping in a lot of money to bring the best out of you. If you believe a relationship is going to distract you from that or will not allow you to fulfill that, then you should reconsider. And one thing that the Bible always talks about is times and seasons. See, do not look at anybody when it comes to times and seasons. God has a specific way, a kairos moment for everything in your life. I've spoken about this thing before, kairos and chronos. Yes, there's a chronological way in which things are done. Most times it is go to secondary school, go to university, get married, have kids. So go to secondary school, go to university, get a job. Some people do masters, then get a job, get married, have kids. The rest is history. For other people, maybe my case is I'm in university, but I'm in a relationship. In fact, I'm engaged. Most people and their Nigerian parents, that is not their ideal. Or African parents, or if you have parents, you can relate to this for the fact that your parents are always like, when you're done with school, that's when you can start dating. But most times, I don't know, Nigerian or African parents, they have this thing where they don't want you to date or they don't want to hear anything about boy or girl. But once you finish school like this, where's your husband? Where's your wife? Where do you want to find husband and wife when you said I shouldn't date? But some parents are a bit more open. I remember the important thing is the Bible also talks about honoring your father and mother. So there's a chronos to life, a chronological manner in which things are supposed to go. But for you, we don't follow the way, the timeline of the world. We follow God's timeline. If God says, if anyone wants to be engaged in university, then I'm going to be engaged in university. If he wants me to date a long distance relationship in university, then I'm going to do that. And should I tell you, the funny thing about me is when I entered university, and I entered at 21, so I wasn't a child when I entered, and I already had a mindset, I'm not touching men, I'm not doing anything, I'm not getting involved at university, I'm focusing on medicine. When I'm done, I was not looking at all, marriage was not even on my mind whatsoever. So you tell me why was my third year? The holiday of just before my third year is when I got into a relationship with my fiance. I'll be so honest. At first, I was kind of like, gosh, I don't want this to affect my education. Guys, tell me why my grades got better. That alone was a sign of, okay, maybe God is in this. Not maybe, God is in this. Because it's not pulling me away from what he wants me to do. In fact, it's drawing me closer. Everything God had established for me to do, my podcast, my business, my education, everything that he had led me to do in that season, I was able to still do more of it. A relationship was not pulling me away from that. Where you should question whether you should be in a relationship or not is if a relationship you are in is pulling you away from the purpose of God, is pulling you away from God's vision for your life, is distracting you off course from God's vision for your life, then maybe you're not walking in accordance with God's will for your life. You need to reevaluate that relationship. You could be grown. You could be old enough, mentally old enough, spiritually mature, but you may not know how to balance right now. You're still learning how to balance the other things he's got for you. You started school automatically, you're struggling with your prayer life. You're struggling with your word life. You're not going to church every Sunday. Those are already signs that you are struggling with balance. Do you really want to add a relationship into that mix? Especially if you're in a case like me where I'm doing a long distance relationship. We only see each other when I go home for the holidays because of the kind of school I'm in. I can't just go out and see him anytime I want. So in that kind of relationship, it takes a lot of sacrifice of time. You're talking on the phone most of the time because that's all you guys have. You can't see each other, can't spend time with each other physically. All you have is phone calls, video calls. So are you willing to make the sacrifice of communication? That's another thing I want to put in there. Communication, time. You do have to develop very strong communication skills whilst you're in school. If you know you're struggling with that, maybe you should work on that before stepping into a relationship, because most relationships are built, every relationship is built on communication. In fact, your relationship with God is built on communication. Do not tell me you know God when you don't spend time in the presence of God, when you don't spend time learning about him, speaking to him, communing with him, allowing him to speak to you. That's what a relationship is based on. I remember reading the statistic where when you think that, most divorces are caused by maybe infidelity, financial issues, the number one cause for divorces in our age currently is lack of communication. So when you realize, I don't think I can keep up with this. This man, this woman wants to talk to me every day. I don't have time to talk to them every day. I'm a busy medical student. Then focus on your medicine. Put your heart and soul into your medicine. When you're ready, you can now bring that person along. But don't make God's child feel unloved because you're not willing to sacrifice your time for them. Because sacrifices will have to be made. Of course, seasons change. For example, during exam season, me and my partner don't talk as much. And he has that understanding. That's another thing. If you have an understanding partner, it's not always on you. Sometimes you do try and make out time and that person just doesn't appreciate it. They feel like the time, when you hear stuff like there's a pastor that he was talking about how when him and his wife were jobless, they were talking for like 8 to 9 hours every day. Yeah, I can't do that. I would love to. I love talking to my partner, but I can't do that. I'm busy. And guess what? He's busy. Another thing I want to mention is selflessness. Many of you think you're the only one. Bible says that do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but value others above yourself. Look to others' interests, not just your own. As much as you're a busy student, maybe you're a medical student, your partner's also busy with their own thing. It's not just about your schedule or when I have time or when it's convenient for me. What about their convenience? What about their schedule? What about when they're tired or when they want to rest? And then that's when you have energy. Oh, they need to take from their rest time for you. Selflessness in relationships, sacrifice in relationships is key. If you're not willing to sacrifice, if you're not willing to be selfless, if you're like, look, I want to be selfish for these 4 years of my life or these 5 years that I'm doing this course, then be selfish. That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. Like, just focus on you. Focus on your self-development. Focus on your emotional intelligence. Focus on your communication skills in that time. There could be someone that you really like at this time, and God is maybe saying, see, I need to work on you right now. You've got way too much on your plate. And what I have for you right now to work on is more important than the relationship you think you need. God knows what you need, not you. Yeah, your butterflies are telling you he's the one, she's the one, but God is saying, wait, this degree is only going to be for 4 years. And if it's going to distract you from those 4 years, maybe just focus on it for now. Once you're done, you're done. You're not coming back to school unless you want to do your master's. Once you're done, you're done. It's only 4 years, 5 years, 6 years of your life versus eternity with this person. But you may be in a different position. Like me, that I was reluctant and I was like, I don't think I can do a whole, but God is allowing me to do it and do it with ease. I don't know how God has been doing it, but for the past 2+ years, going to 3 years that me and my fiance have been together, he has really allowed us to have balance in this season. We have our times we call in the morning, we have our times we call in the evening, afternoon, it can vary, but we talk every single day. Since we've known each other, since the day he came to my DM, even when I didn't like him, since that day till now, we haven't gone a single day without talking to each other. And yes, I'm a medical student. Yes, I have exams. Yes, last year I had one of the biggest exams I've had so far in medical school. And we still spoke every single day. He still supported me. He still prayed for me. He still encouraged me. In fact, he is a huge factor in making this medical school journey easier for me. So I'm not going to compare myself to the people that say, oh, don't date in medical school. That's such a common thing I hear for medical students. I don't know about other people, especially for medical students. You hear that thing, don't date in medical school, focus on your books. Medical school is hard enough. All right, that works for you. But I'm not going to follow your timeline. I'm going to follow God's timeline. And maybe God knew, maybe because I'm a bit slightly older than the average 5th-year medical student in Nigeria. So he was like, yeah, I need to hurry this up for this girl. But my mind wasn't even there. I didn't say yes to my partner because of age at all. See, I was chill. Thank God I look young. When I entered medical school 21, people guessed I was maybe 17. So I already have the look on my side, which I thank God for. So I wasn't desperate. Don't also allow desperation push you into something God has not called you into. Entering something premature, I always say this thing, that any gift that is given prematurely can easily turn to a curse. A child is a beautiful gift from God, but when it's given to an unexperienced mother and father that aren't in a great financial position, that are not married, that don't even have a good stable relationship or relationship with God, it can feel like a curse. The child is a blessing, but to them, it can feel like a curse because it's not at the right time. There's another verse as well that discusses, it's in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 2b, and it talks about how there is a time to plant and a time to harvest. In university, you are planting seeds for your career. You are planting seeds for your career in law, medicine, engineering, business, media, wherever you're going, you are planting the seed now. Your harvest is supposed to come in 4, 5, 6 years. If you don't plant well now, if you don't take care of your seed now, if you don't nourish your seed now, you will have nothing to harvest at the end of those years. When all your friends are graduating and you're mismanaging your time, you mismanage your season, you will have nothing to harvest. And that's why it's so important to know your times and seasons. For some of you guys, God is just telling you, just plant your education right now. Plant the crops that will lead to harvest for your future career. And a lot of you are looking at social media and looking at your friends and God's like, no. That's not what I have for you. Don't worry. At the right time, God will bless you and he'll bless you in perfect season that you'll be able to enjoy the blessing. Don't try and rush his blessings. And you could be on the other side where God is saying, I would actually want you to plant more seeds on the same land. You can do that. If you're a good farmer, you can plant multiple crops on the same land. As you are planting your seed for career, you're also planting your seed for marriage, in my case. You're also planting your seed for business, also in my case. Some of you guys, God is saying, I want you to start a business whilst in school. And others, he's saying no. But he is considering the future he has for you, the future that you can't see. Many times we focus on the seen. The Bible says we should focus on what is not seen and not what is seen. What is seen is temporary. What is unseen is eternal. The glory, God's purpose for you, the fruit he wants to bring out of you is more important than what you are seeing now, than the lovey-dovey TikTok things that you want to emulate now. If God is saying wait, please wait. What he has in store for you is much more than what you think is best for you in this season. Last but not least, one thing I want us to have that you need to consider if you want to date in university is understanding. Having a patient and understanding heart. The Bible says in James 1:19, my dear brothers and sisters, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Quick to listen. See, everybody's going through something. Everybody has a lot on their plate. This season will take a lot of understanding from both sides. And I briefly mentioned this before, that if you're with someone that you don't think can understand you in this season, that you don't think can give you the space to study when you need to study, to focus when you need to focus, to sacrifice you guys talk time when it is necessary, then maybe you should keep that distance. This podcast is not for you to go and break up with anybody. It is for you to go back and pray and ask God for revelation on what you should do. Not me. But this could be the seed. This could be the light bulb that you need to do that work, to do that prayer, to do that seeking of God's will for your life concerning this relationship or any relationship you're considering. Right now, you could be in 3 categories. You could be considering a relationship, 4 categories. You could be single and not searching. You could be single and have a relationship that's knocking on your door and you're not sure whether you should accept it or not, or you could be in a relationship. For many of you guys, if you're not in a relationship and you're not searching, but you want to also learn about balancing relationships, you want to practice the art of balancing relationships, start with your family, start with your friends. Okay, you're busy with school and everything, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't call your parents once in a while or call your loved ones once in a while. Shall I tell you the fact? It's not going to get easier. I'm so sorry. I know it sounds harsh. It's not going to get easier. In fact, it's going to get more rigorous. Although education is out the way when you graduate, you have a career. You have responsibilities of life. Life comes with its own responsibilities that school kind of blinds you from. School does not prepare you for them. Most schools do not prepare you for them. Bills to pay, you've got responsibilities. People that have expectations of you at work, in other areas, in church. You eventually get married, you eventually have kids. Their lives are now your responsibilities. God has now placed a mantle on you to raise God-fearing children and have a God-fearing home that will be fruitful to his kingdom. That's a huge responsibility. So university is kind of your playing ground or kind of your practice arena for that. So this is the season to learn balance. This is the season to prioritize, to learn how to prioritize loved ones and not neglect your primary assignment in school, which is to get a degree and get good results. And of course, number 1, to serve God. Serve him with all your heart, your mind. Love him with all your heart, your mind. Give him your time. And I don't mean the crumbs of your time. I mean, give him good quality time. Spend time with him in prayer, in the word. Go to church. Give your time to his service. Give your time to serving him in his house, in church, in your unit. This is your time to learn that balance. Some of you guys have neglected all aspects of your life because you want to get an A. What's going to happen when you eventually get that A? Once you eventually leave school and you have nothing. You've distanced yourself from your family. You've distanced yourself from every interpersonal relationship, friends, partner. You've dropped every kind of social activity, the things you love to do. All you have is your degree. We're more than that. You are more than your degree. You are more than a grade. But again, though, get that grade because God is glorified in excellence, not in mediocrity. And I have seen it time and time again that you can still excel academically and also have a beautiful social life. Maybe not as big as you want, maybe not go out as much as you want or do things you want. You still have something substantial that will get you through school and not make you feel miserable and not make you feel as if school is your life, because it really is not. One day you'll finish and the real world will come. All right, guys, so I pray this episode has been helpful for you, or you've gained something, you've learned something, and it has made you consider certain things about relationships in university. And I will be with you guys next week for the next episode. Have an amazing day, have an amazing week, have an amazing month, have an amazing year, have an amazing 2026. Bye, guys. See you next week.